Welcome back, or just welcome. I'm Lizzie Frizzle, and this is the Recap Corner. Today, we're talking about the Stars on Mars series premiere. That's Season 1, Episode 1. It's called The Experiment Begins. Now, when I first heard about Stars on Mars, I was skeptical. Early trailers were pretty short and mostly just featured celebrities concealed behind spacesuits. So initially, I thought it was another attempt by Fox to capitalize on the success of The Masked Singer, a show I liked for a couple seasons, then pretty quickly lost interest in. In general, I just don't get as excited about celebrity cast reality shows, except for Celebrity Mole. But once longer trailers revealed that Stars on Mars is actually a house reality competition, one that takes a lot of format help from Big Brother, and a lot of commitment to a gimmicky theme like 90s House or its predecessor 70s House, which one of our Celebronauts hosted, I got really excited. And rightfully so, because I loved this premiere. I hated the ending, but I loved the premiere. The episode took itself seriously, but in a campy way, so it also didn't take itself seriously at all. We're repeatedly told how important it is that these Celebronauts succeed on Mars, but no reason is ever given. Like, it's not to save humanity from climate change. It's not even to prove that celebrities are serious people. Regardless, to prepare for space travel, the Celebronauts will be participating in an experiment. That's the show. They'll live inside a Mars simulation for 24 days, and the last Celebronaut left at the end earns the title Brightest Star in the Galaxy. We don't know yet if there's any prize money or prize money for a charity that comes along with that, but we do know that the simulation is set up at an undisclosed location 140 million miles from Earth. So it's a simulation to prepare for life on Mars that also takes place on Mars. The Celebronauts' home for the 24 days is appropriately called the Celebrity Mars Habitat, aka HAB-1701, AAKA the HAB. It's an impressive set, and very futuristic too, in the same fun, campy style as everything else. We'll talk more about the interior soon, but to me, what's even more striking is the exterior landscape. It's red, it's vast, it's mostly flat, but also craterous too. It really looks like photographs of Mars. Apparently, it's actually the South Australian desert Coober Pedy, which is the opal capital of the world. So, let's meet these Celebronauts. They used that word in one trailer I saw for the show. I thought it was so clever, but then it wasn't said once during the entire premiere, so I'm taking it as my own. Anyway, it's a great cast. Very eclectic origins, but this is not a RuPaul's Drag Race Some Stars situation. These are all stars, or almost all stars at least. We've got TV and movie icons who have played instantly recognizable roles. We've got decorated athletes. I'm talking Super Bowl winners. I'm talking Olympians. I'm talking Hall of Famers. I'm talking people who at one time had upwards of 7 Tour de France medals. We've got reality TV veterans who have been on television for like a decade, even if I personally have never watched any of their shows. We've got household name recording artists and comedians, and we've got a Nepo baby, but she is one of the most famous ones. First into the HAB and into my heart, it's Christopher Mintz-Plasse. He's acted in several successful movie franchises, obviously most notably as McLovin in Superbad, but he's also in the Kick-Asses, at least one Pitch Perfect, and a Neighbors or two. So I was in high school when Superbad came out, then college when Pitch Perfect and Neighbors came out. Basically, I'm the perfect age to have very positive, nostalgic feelings attached to a lot of Christopher Mintz-Plasse's work. I'm such a big fan that if he's cast in something, that's enough reason for me to watch it. Like The Great Indoors, a short-lived sitcom he was in alongside Joel McHale several years ago. Did you also watch The Great Indoors? If you did, comment below and let me know, because not that many people did, and I think it would be kind of a cool thing to have in common. Next up, and finishing out the iconic actors category of Celebronaut, it's Ariel Winter, known for her portrayal of Alex Dunphy on Modern Family. In the athletes category, there's Olympic figure skater Adam Rapone, but if you're like me and don't follow the Olympics much, you might recognize him from guest judging a season 11 episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. There's also Ronda Rousey, one of the most famous women fighters, maybe in the world. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but she was so famous like 8 years ago. She's a WWE star. She was the first woman to sign with UFC, and now she's in their Hall of Fame. We've got Lance Armstrong, creator of the Livestrong band. He was one of the most famous athletes in the late 90s and early 2000s. He was a pro cyclist who eventually found himself embroiled in scandal. But if you ask Ariel Winter, he was the first man on the moon, because she confuses him with Neil Armstrong, the astronaut.
Lance Armstrong is a real freaking astronaut. He is a real astronaut. He is Lance Armstrong. You need to Google him. You need to know everything about him because he is so cool. The fact that we have an astronaut is so crazy. You said what? I'm so confused. Like, is he going to end up being our judge?
But she shouldn't feel bad. When I first saw the cast list, my brain filtered Lance Armstrong to Lance Bass. So I spent a couple weeks thinking NSYNC would be represented on this show. And finishing up the athletes category, it's Super Bowl winning teammates from the 2013-2014 Seattle Seahawks, Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch was especially famous back then. He said beast mode a lot, which is also written on some of the clothing he wears throughout this episode. And in 2015, he gave this very famous interview.
I'm here so I won't get fined. 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 I'm just here so I won't get fined. Hey, I'm here so I won't get fined. I'm here so I won't get fined.
Moving on to our reality TV veteran Celebronauts, there's Portia Williams, or Portia Williams-Gabadia. She was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta for almost a decade, which, to my understanding, is the most popular Housewives franchise. Now she's got her own show, Portia's Family Matters, not to mention 7 million Instagram followers. Tom Schwartz, or Schwartzy, as I've learned he can be called, is also in the cast. He's been on television for about a decade, too. He started appearing in Vanderpump Rules in its very first season, then was promoted to full cast member in season 2 after he threw some drinks on some women to elevate his profile. He's appearing in Stars on Mars to escape drama from his real life, which sounds absolutely insane, and the more I read about it, the more I can't believe I'm not watching Vanderpump Rules. Next up, we've got what I consider to be a couple of long-time household names. First, there's Tinashe. She's a singer, she's a dancer, she's an actor, and soon she'll also be appearing on the Eric Andre show, so he can finally know once and for all where she's at.
Tinashe, where you at?
Comedian Natasha Leggero is also in the cast. Now, my personal interest in comedy may make her more of a household name to me than others, but in her defense, she's worked steadily in comedy and in reality TV for like 20 years. She was the host of MTV's 70s House. And finally, the Nepo baby, or the entrepreneur, as her lower third says. It's Tallulah Willis, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's daughter, but not the one that was on The Masked Singer. So, those are the 12 Celebronauts. And I think from this point forward, I'm going to refer to them by their first names only. That feels weirdly personal to me because they're public figures, not reality contestants who usually only have first names. I know I'm like weirdly in my head about it because I still feel badly for calling Christopher Mintz-Plasse McLovin at the end of my last video, but I have to call the cast something, so first names it is. As the Celebronauts enter the HAB while introducing themselves to each other and to us, we get more of that unserious seriousness I was talking about earlier. The juxtaposition between this gimmicky show and Lance Armstrong earnestly musing about the vastness of space was funny to me.
I know when I was a kid, you sort of look out into the sky and space and you see planets and stars, and you could say, what would it be like to live on another planet? Are there other forms of life?
I also really enjoyed Ronda Rousey citing an interest in space as her reason for doing the show. To me, that's kind of like applying to be on The Bachelor because you like dating. As the Celebronauts arrive at the HAB, first they're brought into a holding area. They're all wearing these quilted spacesuits and clunky helmets, big old backpacks, but before they can get into the HAB proper and put down their stuff, they've all gotta be decontaminated. Think of it like when the eye doctor shoots the puff of air into your eye, only it's your whole body.
Enter the decontamination zone. Push.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Whew. Holy cow.
Decontamination in 3, 2, 1.
I loved the Decontaminator. I thought it was a great contribution to the episode's world building, and also a little mean to the cast, but in like that funny, harmless sort of way. Inside the HAB proper, we meet the Celebronauts' voiced-over AI companion. This is another great piece of world building, and an important one too, because lots of people associate AI companions like HAL 9000 or the Smart House with futuristic living. Even some of the cast members ask about an AI voice as soon as they get inside the HAB.
Is there a HAL here? Is there like an AI thing that we can...
Hello, Tom. Star of Vanderpump Rules. Currently known for Scandival.
That's perfect.
But the best part is that the AI voice is genuinely funny and seemingly able to interact with the Celebronauts in real time.
This isn't drinkable, tell me now.
It's poison. Correction, it is not poison.
I usually think reality narrators are funny, at least in a cringy way, like the old Ex on the Beach guy, but this AI companion has got chops for real.
No, you need to go here.
Listen to the ESPN. Did you hack the system?
ESPN is not available in your region.
With everyone acquainted with all personalities, both real and artificial, the life support system inside the HAB activates, and we get a tour of the interior facilities. There's the command center, where the Celebronauts will receive all their information about emergencies and missions. There's a gym for mandatory fitness in order to prepare for Mars's reduced gravity. There's a state-of-the-art kitchen with limited rations that won't be restocked during the simulation. There's a biodome for additional nutritional needs. Basically, it's an indoor greenhouse. Then there are living quarters and sleeping quarters with a house reality staple, small, shitty bunk beds. In fact, these beds are so small and shitty that Marshawn says he had better in jail.
This for show like jail. Yeah, the sleeping arrangements on Mars nasty as I ain't gonna lie, my cell was bigger than this. Are y'all gonna be able to fit in the bed? I don't know.
Despite the apparently prison-quality sleeping arrangements, I think it's a great-looking set, and I do expect to see it recreated in a few years when Big Brother does a space-themed season. Guiding the Celebronauts through the tour of the HAB is their host, William Shatner. He greets the cast via a pre-recorded video message, but there's so little reaction to seeing him, I have to believe they already knew he was their host. Regardless, Mr. Shatner explains that there aren't enough food rations inside the simulation to feed everyone, and we just learned they won't be restocked. So every 48 hours, one Celebronaut must be eliminated or extracted until only the most Mars-worthy remain. To help with the process, a base commander is elected every extraction cycle. They get a private bed and bath, they assign duties to the other Celebronauts, and they have some amount of control over who gets extracted. Basically, it's the head of household, but the cast chooses who does it instead of competes for it. In this episode, the cast has just 2 minutes to elect their first base commander, but nobody volunteers because the default meta in house reality competitions is to not be the first leader. However, everything changes once the AI reveals that the base commander gets their own bed and bathroom. Excited at the opportunity to fit into a bed, or at least get closer, Marshawn is now happy to lead the group. And I hope he is, because immediately he's got to steer the Celebronauts through their first emergency, kind of like a mini mission to help ease them all into the format. There are only 11 Celebronauts inside the HAB. Turns out their 12th crewmate is stranded outside in a damaged pod with dwindling oxygen. Marshawn's got to pick 2 Celebronauts to exit the HAB, traverse the Martian landscape, and rescue their 12th crewmate while everyone else sits inside and communicates with them via headset. Marshawn chooses Lance and Rhonda for the rescue as an alarm starts to sound throughout the HAB. It means that the oxygen levels in the damaged pod are now critically low. Everyone's frantic. They're urgently prepping Lance and Rhonda for the rescue because, as Marshawn astutely points out, that 12th crewmate could be Beyonce.
We gotta send a team out there. It might be Beyonce.
Can you imagine if the 12th cast member actually was Beyonce? Then the lack of rations would make sense because the show would need to spend its entire budget to afford her. As Lance and Rhonda hop aboard a Martian golf cart, the rest of the Celebronauts watch them on screens inside the command center. They're all pretty displeased to realize how close up the cameras are inside their helmets. Lance and Rhonda quickly find the damaged pod, and though at first it seems like they damage it more, they don't.
Hey! Wait, there's a person! Side down.
The 12th Celebronaut is successfully rescued. It's comedian Natasha Leggero, who Marshawn has never heard of. Told you she wouldn't be a household name for everyone. With the full cast now safely back inside the HAB, it's time for Marshawn to assign the first base duties via the base commander console. He tasks Portia and Tallulah with taking inventory of all the food rations, and that's important because we're repeatedly told they have limited food. Chris, Richard, and Tinashe take inventory of the plants inside the biodome. That's important too because edible produce is growing for when the cast runs out of food rations like the producers are obviously hoping happens.
Tell us what you think these are.
Olives?
Okay.
Meanwhile, Adam and Ariel polish the patches, which are encased in resin and say things like teamwork or bravery, causing Adam and Ariel to wonder if the cast will earn them during missions. They will be, but did we really need to see it foreshadowed? It's like the producers couldn't think of a third base duty. Though, at the same time, the patches were pretty dusty. The rest of the Celebronauts, Lance, Natasha, Rhonda, and Tom, aren't assigned any chores that we see, while Marshawn assigns himself a nap.
can dig it.
Marshawn, as base commander, you must oversee the base duties. Marshawn.
As we get to know the show's format, we get to know the Celebronauts too. More about their backgrounds, more about their approaches to the competition. A lot of this footage is dedicated to Chris. But in fairness, his presence gets one of the biggest reactions from his castmates. Tom, for example, is totally starstruck and doesn't waste much time talking to Chris about Superbad. Tom does resist the urge to call Chris McLovin. He won't even say it. I think he might be confusing McLovin with Macbeth.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I'm a little starstruck, I gotta be honest. Superbad may be the best movie of its kind. That was one of your first movies, wasn't it?
That was my first movie.
Your literal first movie?
First movie ever.
I'm not gonna say what his name is in the movie because he's so sick of that. And I'm sure he still gets it everywhere he goes.
Meanwhile, Marshawn takes a different approach and only calls Chris McLovin.
Hey, McLovin. I grew up on him as McLovin, so I'm gonna call him McLovin.
In the interview chair, Chris talks about getting called McLovin everywhere he's been for the past 16 years of his life. Do you think anyone ever calls him Fogel? Lance Armstrong's presence also gets a big reaction from the other Celebronauts, and my favorite moment from the premiere comes thanks to him. Partway through the episode, Ariel realizes that she mistook Lance for Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, and finds Portia to clear it up.
Just realized I made a huge mistake.
So who did you think he was?
Neil Armstrong.
There's probably 20-year-olds out there that get me confused with Neil Armstrong. If I were Neil Armstrong, I'd be dead. I prefer to be Lance Armstrong at this point.
As for Lance himself, I think he's got a good strategy or a good outlook coming into the competition. He explains that he's viewing Stars on Mars as an endurance comp, not unlike the professional cycling he's known for. We actually get to see Lance cycle in this episode. He and Marshawn hang out in the gym and tease each other about who's the better athlete.
You really call yourself an athlete?
Shut up.
No. Cycling that's an athletic thing? How long is that race?
3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, say like a 50 miles.
The fast and unlikely friendship between Lance and Marshawn is one of the best parts of the premiere. Their dynamic is instantly established and very watchable.
Going back to something very serious. Can I borrow your bathroom?
Hell no, please.
I don't know that I can go like in the public thing. But time is of the essence.
No, you can't in there, brother.
100%.
100,000.
All right, I'll be right back. He still moves well.
Marshawn even has a nickname for Lance already. He's calling him Louie, because, Armstrong. In addition to Lance, Rhonda and Natasha also emerge as Celebronauts who are coming in with a planned strategy. They both interview about the importance of socialness and likability in these kinds of house reality competitions, and I think they're right. We also see both of them act on that instinct. Rhonda asks Tallulah about her experiences growing up the child of Demi and Bruce. Personally, I like Tinashe's take on it.
The only thing that I knew about Tallulah coming in here was she has two extremely famous parents, Demi Moore and Bruce Willis. And Tallulah is the quintessential Nepo baby. So, yeah, she should own it.
Later, Natasha bonds with Portia about her kids and about Portia's enormous wedding ring.
No, my husband has 5 kids.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your ring? Damn. It's insane. That's a space rock right there. I would raise 5 stepkids for that ring.
I'd just like to point out that Tinashe is also a part of that conversation. So who's really the best social player? It's night 1 in the HAB, and now that the cast has fallen asleep, it's time for their first full emergency mission. The Celebronauts are woken up via another alarm. Then they gather in the command center to hear a message from William Shatner, who they've taken to calling Shatty Daddy. And so I will too. He explains that a dust storm knocked over the communications satellite tower, and if the Celebronauts don't fix it in time, the link between Earth and Mars will be severed. Most of the cast suits up, then heads outside the HAB to restore the satellite. But the base commander and one other Celebronaut, the mission specialist, stay inside to watch the mission unfold on monitors and offer help via headset. The base commander and the mission specialist are both safe from extraction, so they're important positions. But we don't learn how the mission specialist is chosen. Shaddy Daddy's message just names Tallulah. Does that mean the producers are choosing someone they want to save every week? And if so, why start with Tallulah? It's nothing against her, but I'm just guessing that she probably has one of the smallest fan bases coming into the show. Still, she starts specializing right away when she reads the mission brief to the rest of the cast.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so here's the mission brief.
We need our crew to find 3 satellite dishes and 2 antenna pieces and then successfully put back up fallen comms tower before the communication window closes and the Mars orbiter misses the ecliptic plane.
Copy that.
We catch up with the rest of the Celebronauts outside the HAB, where things are chaotic. First of all, it's super dark. The only light sources are from flashlights or headlamps. There's some overhead lighting, and there are headlights on a Mars rover prop that the cast has to turn on themselves at the start of the mission. Second of all, it's windy as hell. There's red dust blowing everywhere. I'm imagining 24 big-ass fans just out of frame. Third of all, it's very noisy. Partially from all the hypothetical big-ass fans, and partially because almost all the cast is talking over each other.
Hey, Sean, what up? How many people is it actually going to take to get that one satellite put together?
I can't hear you, Sean, when everybody's talking. It's chaos. Everybody's talking at the same time. And communication is critical. And I think Marshall kind of dropped the ball on that.
But through all the dust and the madness, the edit still presents a few important beats. Adam, Chris, and Natasha are overwhelmed. Basically, they stand in the background while the rest of the Celebronauts do the mission. Also probably overwhelmed, but handling it differently, are Portia and Richard, both of whom are key contributors to the mission's first phase, finding the missing antennas and satellites. After those are all recovered and reattached, the Celebronauts must use a winch to raise the tower back up. Ariel gets her moment here operating the winch, as do Tinashe and Tom, who work together to complete a critical task, connecting the winch to the tower. Unfortunately for Tom, he also fails to answer Marshawn and Tallulah once when they radio into him, and since the edit included it, you know it's gonna matter.
Hey, Tom, is you all right, Tom?
Can I just get a confirmation from Tom that he's
You're
doing
alive,
okay?
bro.
Tallulah, I'm listening.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, come on, my guy. You gotta just give us a little something here.
Honestly, this was my least favorite part of the episode. Don't get me wrong, the dust storm seemed very effective in disorienting and overwhelming the cast, but it also made the mission literally hard to see. Like late season Game of Thrones, early season House of the Dragon, hard to see. The time limit of it all is mentioned by Marshawn and Tallulah, and occasionally a digital clock flashes on screen to tick down a few seconds. But because we never learn how long the full time limit is, the stakes don't feel real at all. Either way, apparently, with less than 10 seconds left before missing the ecliptic plane, the Celebronauts raise the tower and restore the communications satellite. It's a successful first mission. I'm guessing the cast will fail at least one mission throughout the season, and I'm really curious to see what'll happen when they do. Like, imagine if they had failed this one and William Shatner just wasn't in any more episodes. More budget for Beyonce, I guess. During and after the mission, Richard wonders if Marshawn and Tallulah communicated effectively enough with the rest of the cast, but Marshawn praises Tallulah's specializing. And I praise her decision to wear a Jughead crown like one of my all-time favorite reality TV contestants. Moving forward, the full season trailer showcased missions that were less dusty, so I'm thinking they'll get better. But for me, the combination of no information about how the specialist was selected, the amorphous time limit, and the bad visuals made this first mission the premiere's low point. Which isn't very low because the whole thing was great, but still. Even though the Celebronauts successfully averted their first emergency, one of them must be extracted from the simulation. They all wait in the HAB's holding area, while Base Commander Marshawn and Mission Specialist Tallulah choose the 3 people who weren't mission critical. That ends up being Adam, Chris, and Tom, which means Portia, Rhonda, Ariel, Natasha, Lance, Richard, and Tinashe are mission critical and will each earn a leadership patch after they decontaminate again before re-entering the HAB proper. The repeated use of the phrase mission critical throughout this segment for some reason really made me laugh.
And Ariel felt like she was very mission critical.
Oh, she was very mission critical.
So did the fact that when everyone re-entered the HAB after decontaminating, they were still covered in red dirt. So much red dirt. With only the 3 potential extractees left in HAB holding, they all pitch why they too are mission critical. Then the rest of the cast chooses which 2 to save. Adam and Chris both opt for a comedic pitch. Adam says he'll always be mission critical because he's the hottest person in the cast. Big reaction, lot of laughs, applause.
Well, I think I'm critical because I'm one of the hottest people here. And I think that's important for any kind of challenge that we do here. That's being honest. I think that's being honest.
He's right.
That's true. That's true.
Chris says that the mission was so chaotic, there were so many overlapping voices, that by hanging back and not really participating, he actually was mission critical.
I'm getting emotional. There was 11 of you on that field. I was doing a favor by stepping out of the way. There was already too many people involved.
It was chaotic. It was chaos.
All right?
And Tom argues that helping Tinashe clip in the winch to raise the tower was legitimately mission critical. The group agrees. They save him first.
I was on the chopping block, but I'm the best of the worst. So that's something, that's something.
Between Adam and Chris, the cast votes unanimously to save Adam and extract Chris, which is a devastating result to me personally, but also unsurprising. I started to worry when the first act was mostly footage of him. Chris wanders into the Martian landscape and lights a flare like he's just tapped out on a loan. In a post-extraction interview, Chris explained that his asthma didn't mix so well with the production-made dust storm. So while I was thrilled to see him on my screen once again, perhaps it's best that it was only for a short while. Back inside the HAB, the episode ends as Marshawn and Richard bicker about leadership styles, going all the way back to their time as Seattle Seahawks. It kind of felt more like a transition than an ending to me, but I was already so entertained by the rest of the premiere, I didn't even need a big finale. Like I said, we see a full season trailer that showcases a lot of different types of missions, a lot of pyrotechnics, and a little bit of in-HAB drama. But I think those moments are probably taken out of context and won't actually amount to much conflict, unfortunately. Honestly, I didn't think it was a very exciting full season trailer, but again, this premiere was so much fun, I have total faith in the rest of the season. For me, in this episode, the stars of the stars were, of course, Chris, and not just because I'm nostalgic, but also because the way he reacts to things is funny.
Our show's actually kind of a derivative of The Housewives. It's Vanderpump Rules. It's like people who work in a restaurant, have sex with each other.
Jeez, we're not doing that here, I don't think. 5, 6. This sucks. Does anyone regret coming to Mars?
I also enjoyed Ariel. I thought she was vulnerable. I thought she was relatable if you lack confidence like me. As the first base commander, Marshawn got a lot of screen time, and he did not squander it. He was funny when he wasn't playing along, like when he complained about the beds or when he napped during chore time. And he was funny when he was playing along, like when he arrived at the HAB in a Martian golf cart with Richard.
Yeah. Hey, we can hit something over here. Hey, John, you was whipping that thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? They let black people on Mars.
Or the way he offered advice during the mission, or how he segued into the extraction process.
Hey, Sean, you have to tell us what to do. We need to know if we're lifting.
Make sure you don't put yourself in a compromising position. Right. Y'all did a hell of a job out there on the mission.
It was all worth it to hear that.
Right on. But now we get to the hard part.
But I thought the brightest star of the episode was Richard, because he's down to play pretend. He is committed to the simulation, and I had fun watching him because it seems like he's having fun. You can tell by the way he reacts to the critical oxygen level in Natasha's damaged pod.
What did you want?
Oxygen levels in the stranded pod are critical. Deploy your rescue team immediately.
All right, get him dressed. Get him dressed.
You can tell by the way he reacts to Natasha being alive in that pod.
She's still alive.
You can tell by the way he reacts to Marshawn being base commander.
I cannot believe I'm here. I'm in a spacesuit on Mars, led by Marshawn.
But it's not just the Celebronauts that shine. There are other non-person stars of this premiere too. Starting with the Stars on Mars logo, which really reminded me of the Planet Hollywood logo and contributed to the happy, nostalgic feeling I got throughout the episode. I know I talked about this one earlier, but it bears repeating that the HAB's AI companion is genuinely funny.
Natasha!
Who?
Legero, she's a comedian.
Petey?
Comedian.
Natasha.
What did you think I said, a pedian?
Welcome to the HAB, Natasha Leggero. Pedian.
The AI voice is also an important part of the episode's world building, which is surprisingly detailed for a silly reality show. First of all, there's the stunning location. Seriously, give that scout an Emmy. There's also the fact that inside the simulation, it's not year 2023. It's Sol 1. There's the repeated use of the decontaminator, the cumbersome spacesuits, the close-up helmet footage with on-screen vital meters. There's all the terminology. The HAB, Base Commander, Mission Specialist, Mission Critical, the Biodome, Extraction, Celebronauts. I mean, when the challenge half-asses a spy-themed season like Double Agents or Spies, Lies, and Allies, it's corny. I don't like it. But when every design element is committed to the theme, like in Stars on Mars, I live, laugh, and love! Thanks for watching. You can come back next Sunday for another Stars on Mars recap. And in the meantime, if you're so inclined, please like and subscribe. Thanks again. See you next Sunday. Bye.